Good morning. I'm Janet Cole, and we're Tiny in Seattle, and this is Tiny Talks. Last weekend we went out and looked at half a dozen properties, roughly, and there were some that were pretty interesting. There was a 54-9 that was 6.35 acres, a 23-8 that was 4.23 acres, and I'm pretty sure that one is sold on Friday, sold like days before, because we went around and talked to all the people in the neighborhood, homeowners, and asked them about the area and the property and what they knew. And the last person we went to was around to get there. And when we got there, he came out to the road and met us and said that he thinks that somebody bought that property. And we said, well, I don't know, it's fresh property on there today. And as we start talking to him, he says, well, I put in an offer on that property on Friday. So sure enough, today I see that they have an offer, listed offer pending. So this guy explained to us that he was buying up the area. They're going to put offers in on several properties that are adjacent to the property he owns. And what they're going to do with it, I don't know. But it was kind of iffy. There was a creek on the property that runs through it. And that was kind of a problem. We talked to the first woman we talked to. She said that the property floods. So I said to her, well, at what point does it flood? So she looks over to the house. She says, you see that ladder against the house? That's where it came to. And I was like, oh, because, you know, she's in a flood zone. And where on that property that creek would be for us would be the question. I mean, we'd want to be really high and dry, and I'm not sure that property allowed for that. From what we could see, didn't look like it was that hilly, and that might be a problem. So I guess if you're buying up the area and maybe you're not planning to build on it, you just want the land for hunting or whatever, you know, that's probably a good deal. But then we looked at one that was $40,000 for 7.5 acres, and another one that was $25,900 for 1.37 acres. The 1.37 acres actually was in an established community, and all the services right there, you can see them. And it says there's a pond on the property, which we didn't see, but 1.37 acres, it must have been at the back of the property. So I may have to look into that a little bit more, but 1.37 is the bottom of our expectation. We'd really like to be around the 4 to 5 acre, and we're looking for as much as 10 acres for the homestead, because we want to have a big greenhouse and do some aquaponics, and we want to be able to build our home. And no, we're not sure exactly how we're going to build it yet, but it could be an earth berm house, and then maybe a couple homes for other people on the same property. So the more space we have, the better. Kind of thinking of building our own little community, and choosing the people and seeing who we get along with and who can contribute to the effort of living off grid or living sustainable at any rate. So I have several more properties that I'd like to look at this next weekend or when we get around to it. This one's $35,000 for 1.11 acres. There's another, this at the top of our price point, $59,000 for 1.63 acres. And I'm not sure about that. That's, you know, at the top of our price point for, you know, not really as much acreage as we'd like for that money. And then there's one for $40,000, 3.16 acres, which has an ocean view and been on Zillow for 153 days. So that one, there may be some wiggle room on it. We may be able to work something out on that. And then there's one for $55,000. It's 1.01 acres. Again, up at the top of our price point. We'd ideally like to have one for $60,000 or less. That way, our mortgage payment is low, and we will never have to struggle to work hard to make enough money to make the payments. That's the whole idea, is that we'll be sustainable and not be in debt up to our eyeballs. Kind of build the house as we go, so we own the house outright, and then pay off the land, and we'll be good to go. Because we do have cash flow. Gary drives Uber, but he's driving Uber full-time now, and he'd like to be driving Uber part-time, you know, down to like a few hours a day would be great, with more days off, and not having to put in so many hours. The more hours he puts in, the more miles he drives, the higher his risk is of being in an accident, and he's been hit twice in the last couple months. Somebody else has had to pay to fix our vehicle, and right now we've got another, the third injury to our baby girl, and he just filed that claim, and they're going to start working on that, and they have to fix the back end of our vehicle, and they hit on the passenger side. She was on the way to the airport in a rush, wasn't paying attention to where she was going, and bam, knocked right into Gary when he was getting ready to pick up a passenger. So you know, it's the law of averages. You know, the more you're out there, the higher the risk. I mean, the more likely you are to be in an accident, no matter how safe you are. Somebody else, if they're not being that safe, they're not paying attention, then it could be a problem. At any rate, we'd like to be able to keep our expenses low and not go into any more debt than we absolutely have to. So obviously, if we could find a deal on a property in the 30-40K range, that would be advantageous as far as I'm concerned. So that's where we're at. We're going to talk about these properties in the future before we go out again, and I think we'll call it good for today. Thank you for joining.